Aggregate planning. Planning sequence. Corporate strategies and policies, economic, competitive, and political conditions, aggregate demand forecast all connects to the business plan, which connects to the aggregate plan, and then connects to the master schedule. The business plan establishes operations and capacity strategies. The aggregate plan establishes operations capacity, while the master schedule establishes schedules for specific products. Aggregate planning deals with intermediate range capacity planning, usually covering 2 to 12 months. There are three planning levels for aggregate planning: top executives, operations managers, and operations managers, supervisors, and foremen. In aggregate planning, you should have the four of these: combines appropriate resources into general terms, part of a larger production planning system. The segregation breaks the plan down into greater detail, and the segregation results in a master production schedule. Five more points about aggregate planning. Begin with forecast of aggregate demand, forecast intermediate range, general plan to meet demand by setting 1. Output levels, 2. Employment, 3. Finished goods inventory level. Production plan is the output of aggregate planning. And finally, update plan periodically. Rolling planning horizon always covers the next 12 to 18 months. Aggregate planning procedure. First, determine demand for each period. Second, determine capacities for each period. Third, identify policies that are pertinent. Fourth, determine units cost. 5. Develop alternative plans and costs. And 6. Select the best plan that satisfies objectives, otherwise return to step 5. Aggregate planning inputs consist of resources, demand, forecast, policies, and costs. For the outputs, there are only two: total cost of a plan and projectile levels of the following: inventory, output, employment, subcontracting, and back ordering. There are four strategies for aggregate planning. First, maintain a level workforce. Next, maintain a steady output rate. Third, match demand period by period. And lastly, use a combination of decision variables. Now, what are the basic strategies? A mixed strategy may be the best way to achieve minimum costs. There are many possible mixed strategies. Finding the optimal plan is not always possible. The strategy characteristics are as follows: proactive, reactive, mixed. Mixing options to develop a plan. Chase strategy, level strategy. Some combination of capacity options in mixed strategy might be the best solution. Next, we have capacity options, changing inventory levels. Capacity options consist of hiring and laying off workers, overtime, slack time, part-time workers, inventories, and subcontracting. Varying workforce size by hiring or layoffs. Varying production rate through overtime or idle time. Subcontracting. And finally, using part-time workers. Now we have demand options. Influencing demand. Back ordering during high demand periods. Lastly, counter seasonal product and service mixing. The table shows the aggregate planning options. Graphical methods. Popular techniques, easy to understand and use, trial and error approaches that do not agree on optimal solution and require only limited computations. Number 1. Determine the demand for each period. Number 2. Determine the capacity for regular time, overtime, and subcontracting each period. Number 3. Find labor costs, hiring and layoff costs, and inventory holding costs. Number 4, consider company policy on workers and stock levels. Number 5, develop alternative plans and examine their total cost. Mathematical approaches useful for generating strategies. The following shows a comparison of aggregate planning methods. Aggregate planning in services. Controlling the cost of labor is critical. Number 1, accurate scheduling of labor hours to assure quick response to customer demand. Number 2, an on-call labor resource to cover unexpected demand. Number 3, flexibility of individual worker skills. Number 4, flexibility in rate of output or hours of work.